a two ways, like RE and framework. So what do you mean by framework? Framework is inbuilt, you can say activity, or you can say it's an inbuilt template. Inbuilt template. So for example, if I want to design something, if I want to present something like PPT, like PowerPoint presentation. So Microsoft, you can say if I'll open the PPT PowerPoint presentation, right? So already they have provided me some templates, right? I can use that templates and I can design, I can present with help of the existing template, right? So there are a lot of existing template provided by any, you can say, softwares, right? Microsoft, or you can say any other third party tool also, they have provided you can say existing template to help us whichever information we required. So with help of that template will uh, will go with the very, you can say, easy manner if I'll use the templates. So here also in the RE framework also, UiPath has provided a existing template, right? Existing template, or you can say existing framework, like existing template or existing framework, right? Framework, what do you mean? As I said, template or framework, it's an existing entity which is very helpful to achieve our goal, right? So what do you mean by this RE, right? R for robotic, robotic. E for enterprise. So robotic enterprise framework, it's called as the robotic enterprise framework. It's an existing template, or you can say existing framework provided by the UiPath, provided by the UiPath. So why it's required at very initial level when UiPath, you can say UiPath has built it, their software like UiPath Studio. So at that time UiPath, this RE framework was not there, only basic activity they have developed, right? So that time this RE framework was not there. They have developed this RE framework later versions, some later versions they have upgraded the existing activity, and additionally they have provided this robotic enterprise framework. So what is the reason they have provided or they have built it, this robotic enterprise framework? Okay, so this is the very important framework. If now again we'll go for this, basically for example I want to automate some projects, right? So aim of the automation, right? So what is the main basic aim of the automation? For example, the first aim is my automation will not stop in between, right? My automation will not stop in between. In short, until and unless, or you can say for example I have 100 records, right? So once I'll start my bot needs to complete all that 100 records. Until and unless there are no data available in my queue, or there are no data available in my Excel file, my bot will not get stopped. So you can say it's an all the records will be processes. Okay, you can say all the record will be proceeded, right? So my automation will not stop in between. That is the first important thing, right? Second thing, so whichever exception, right, whichever technical exception, technical exception and business exception, right, business exception, they needs to handle, my bot needs to be handled, will occur. So bot needs to handle those exception. This is the second important point, right? That means in this second exception handling, as I said, in exception handling, two things. First, whichever exception was occurred, so the exception firstly logged on my logs, and the second, we need to resolve that error. This is again second important thing, right? And the third important thing here is, like for example, at what step if any exception is occurred, I need to see where exactly my bot is failing, right? Screen scraping, or you can say if I want to see while running my bot, at what step my bot is stopped. if I need to understand what specifically technically I know, but from the application side also, if I want to see where exactly my bot is failing, right? So that is also possible with help of the RA framework. So as like screen capturing, you can say, mechanism, right? Mechanism, right? So again, uh, at least my bot will provide me at least 95% of accuracy, right? Accuracy, right? It's up to the process, or it's up to the you can say business, which process we are automating, right? Almost sometimes we will get 100% of accuracy, sometimes we will get 90 to 95% of the accuracy, but almost 90 to 95 or 95 to 100% accuracy we will get, right? If I'll develop a good bot and my application is also provide me a proper result, so on depend of basis of these two parameters we'll get the accuracy. So this four things, or this is my main objective of any automation, right? Any automation, my bots will schedule in a proper manner. Again, scheduling is also important, right? Scheduling, bot scheduling, right? Bot scheduling. Again, seventh, support module. Now for example, if I'll publish my bot, or if I deploy my bot on a production environment, right? Now my bot is used by my client, okay? And at that you can say my client is using that, and if they found any issues from the client side, so what I need to do, I need to troubleshoot that, I need to resolve that support issue, right? So if I'll develop my code in a very proper way, so if client face some issue, so in a very lesser manner, or in very quick, I need to resolve that issue. So I'll mention here like troubleshoot, right? Troubleshoot is also very important room. Troubleshoot, or you can say support module, this is also very important you can say thing. Again, for example, testing of my bots, right? So in short, when I'll go with any proper module like software development life cycle, or you can say RPA life cycle, so all these phases is also important. Whenever I'll create a code, so when I create any code, it's not like a simple code, we need to follow that code through the software development life cycle, like development, testing and production deployment, like that, right? So these all points are very very important, right? So if I'll use the robotic enterprise framework, so that framework or that template itself, you can say itself build that functionality which handles you can say all this point, you can say approximately, or you can say in a very good manner, right? If I'll use the RE framework, so this template, this RE framework template will provide me the exception handling, will provide me the logic. When if I'll start my bot will not stop in between, right? It will provide me the screen scrapping, or you can say if any error is occurred on a particular application site, they will catch that specific screen as well, right? Accuracy perspective also, if I'll use the RE framework, so I can schedule my bot in very well manner. In future, if I'll publish my bot on the orchestrator, or you can say in production environment, and if my client is facing any issue, okay, so within a friction of, you can say hours, or within a very lesser time, I can resolve that issue if I'll use RE framework. So RE framework is very very important if I have a complicated bot. Now again, where we can use this RE framework, for example, as I said, in automation there are some projects or some processes are very small, right? So in those applications, or in those particular cases or use cases, we need not require RE framework, robotics enterprise framework. So we can simply use basic activities and we can perform that you can say automation. But if I have a complex process or project, again project and process it's the same, right? Project, or you can say complex process, or a big project if I have, or a big process or project I have, to handle that complex process, to handle that big process, I need to use robotics enterprise framework, right? It's very helpful, right? Because what happened, if I am creating some code, so as a developer we are manually creating our, we are manually write some codes, okay? So it it's may a very good chances of to give me error because I am writing that code. It's up to the developer who is develop the code. But if I'll got the already exist template, so there are many chances. So if I'll execute that code, it will give me the 100% result, right? So this all points to consider, all this point, this RE framework is very important one. Got it? So now we will see how this RE framework is built at, right? One by one we will see how this RE framework is built at, and we'll go in detailed way in this RE framework, right? So first what I need to do, so I'll just open this UiPath Studio. Right now I need to use RE framework, like robotic enterprise framework. So to choose the RE framework, you will see here like we have one option called as the robotic enterprise framework, new from templates. This is all the templates which is existing available in the UiPath Studio, right? So here what I need to choose, I need to choose robotic enterprise framework. It's called as the RE framework. So I simply click on this RE framework, right? Now once I click on this RE framework, this pop-up will occur for me. Now I need to provide some name here. So here I'll simply use demo underscore RE, right? And here I'll just mention robotic enterprise framework for demo purpose. Simple, and simply click on the create. Now it's loading the RE framework template for me, okay? So if you see demo underscore RE, which I have provided the name of the RE framework. Now this is the RE framework template, or you can say robotic enterprise framework, right? So here you will see we have one start button, or you can say one start option for me. Again we have some 4 boxes, first, you can say second, then this third, and we have like this box, okay? And we have some lines here, right? So what is this box, or what is this lines? So this boxes is called as the state machine, or you can say state, right? And this lines is called as the transitions, right? So machine state machine, or you can say state and transitions, right? Again, now this is fine, this is the you can say coding perspective, this is fine. We have the state machines or state or transitions for me, right? If I want to understand the framework of the RE framework, so you will see here we have like this basic Excel system testing and the UI automation dot activities. By default activities is same as it is, okay? Now you will see here we have this folder is available for me now, data, then again documentation, and you can say exception screenshot, framework, and this test this 1 2 3 4 5 folder is available for me, right? So newly added these folders for me. Now what I'll do, I'll simply open this folder, right? And now if I'll just open this data, so inside this data we have again three more folders and one configuration file is available in this you can say inside this data folder. Again, documentation. Now inside this documentation, if I'll open this RE framework documentation, EN for English, so here UiPath provided a very detailed description for the RE framework. So each and everything which they have provided, so they have mentioned all this information in this document. If you want to learn RE framework in very detailed way, you can follow this documentation. So where you will get this documentation? You will get this documentation inside the documentation folder, right? If you want to learn this RE framework in very detailed way, you can go through that document. Okay, again we have one more you can say folder called as the exceptions screenshot, right? Exception screenshot. Well, what I'll do, I'll go with this. First I have data, right? So here first we will see in detail where all these things. Okay, first is data, second is documentation. Okay, documentation, right? Then we have exceptions screenshot, exception screenshots, right? Now inside the data, if I'll open this data, you will have like input, output, temp and config. What is this input folder, right? Output folder, temp folder, and again configuration file. What is this? What all what is this? Basically we will see that, right? Inside documentation, as we know, inside this documentation we have RE framework documentation in English basically. So the documents which provides all the detailed level of RE framework description, right? Description, which is available in this documentation. Again, this third option is exception screenshot. As I said, now if my bot will fail at a particular steps, an application style, basically for example if I'll automating web application or if I'm automating any SAP application, and because of my technical exception or because of my business exception, my bot is failed at a particular you can say invoice or particular you can say transaction, right? So I want to understand at what step my bot is failing. So with help of the RE framework, now my bot will take that specific screenshot and store that screenshot in my particular they will provide me that screenshot by mail, or you can say that they will store that screenshot in my local machine. So error screenshot, as mentioned here, error screenshot they will provide for me with help of this RE framework. Okay, now that is fine. Now what is this input, output, temp, or you can say configuration? This is a folders, right? Now if I'll open this data, right, now we have configuration file. First I'll open this configuration file. Okay, so if I'll open this configuration file, so you will see we have again one sheet called as a setting, one sheet for constant, and one sheet for the assets. Now what do you mean by the configuration, right? So configuration is nothing but if in my project, if I want to configure some data, or if I want to use some data like any variable, if I want to use a particular variable, for example variable 1 is equal to 10, this value I want to use throughout my process, or you can say throughout my project. So simply what I need to do, I need to declare that variable as a globally. So inside this configuration file I can declare that variable, and I will assign some value for that variable so that I can use this variable throughout my project. If I have like 20 or 30 workflows, so I can easily use this variable throughout that 30 or 20 workflows. So this is the use of the configuration file, configurable. I can store as many as you can say variables and their values inside the configurable part. So what is the main purpose or what is the main use of the configuration file? In future, if I want to change something, so I can only change the value inside this configuration file. Again, configuration part and the coding part is a different thing, right? So code and configuration, code plus configuration, right? Configuration, this is a different part, right? The both combined, if I'll combine the code and the configuration file, then it's an solution. Simple. So if in future if I want to change something, right, so I can only change the value from this configuration, so automatically this value will affect this code because this value I have used inside this code, that we will see in detail. Okay, right? So that is the main purpose of the configuration file. So here, as I said, so here I can create variables and I can assign values for that variables which I want which I want to use in my code, throughout my code. Here constant also, here also this is the variable, it's kind of the variable only, variable and their values, variable and their value. And here for information perspective, or what is the description, why this max, what is this max retrieve number is used for. So this is the description of this variable and their use. Basically this is the description, right? It's the description purpose only, this is the understanding purpose only they have mentioned here. If I'll remove this field, that won't impact my code, but for the information purpose, for the description purpose, they have mentioned that. Assets, again assets is also kind of, you can say it's a global variable. I can create a global assets, or you can say global variable in form of the asset, and that asset I can store here. Again assets, we will see assets in a detailed way, right? So in configuration file, I can store a variable and their value, which is act as the configuration or is a different part of my code, and that I can use throughout my project. Simple. So this is all about, you can say, configuration, right? Now that is also fine. Again, now what is this input folder is used for, what is the folder of this output used for, and what is the temp folder is used for. Now what is this input, right? So if we'll consider the automation, so automation required some input data. If my automation is for, if I want to automating the invoices, to get some invoices I need some input data. Again, then this input data will form of as in mail, from the mail I can get the data as an input, right? From the Excel file I'll get the data as an input. In PDF files also I'll get the input as a data. So in short, so automation is, for example, it's an input, again process some business logic and output. Simple. This is the, you can say, in its this is a simple automation. For example, I need some data as an input. Again, with help of that input, I'll process some business logic. My bot will perform some business logic, my bot will perform some business use cases, or my bot will perform some steps as a business logic on that. And at the end, my bot will send some reports to my clients. I'll just simply send reports as an output. Overall 90% automation is follow this, you can say, input, process and output. Okay, so that's the input, right? Somehow I need an input, right? For example, Excel as an input. So what I'll do, inside this input folder I'll store that input information, right? Inside this input folder I'll store that input information. Now for example, we'll consider, right, this For example, we'll take this challenge 8, or if I'll open this now, for example, this is my input. I want to, what I need to do, I want to consider, I want to process, I want to consider this is the input. I want to process this data on where I want to process this data on this application, rpa challenge.com. So what I need to do, my bot needs to take this first name, last name, company name, role in company, address, email, phone number, and that input my bot needs to be performed here, right? So business logic, and as an output, again, if I want to send some records, some I found my bot will send some data tab, you can say dashboard or reports to my client. That is the output. Okay, so this Excel file or whatever input I'll get, what I'll do, inside this input folder I'll store that Excel file inside that input folder. So that Excel file, this Excel file I'll be storing as a input inside this input folder. So for my bot, this is the input, right? Now that is fine. Again, so with help of this data, for example, I want to perform some business logic, right? If I want to perform some business logic over there, I want to perform some mathematical calculation, if I want to perform something, some business logic, some mathematical operations, some business logic over there. So I want to if I want to put, or if I want to do some temporary you can say calculations, right? So what I'll do, then I'll use this temp folder for that particular calculation, right? So temporary purpose, this folder is used for temporary purpose, right? So I can create anything here, right? I can create any Excel file if I want to perform any temporary calculation. So I'll use this specific folder, temporary calculation. I'll just mention temporary calculations, right? Here I'll use, right, as an input. I'll consider this folder as a input files, right? This is my input files. This is my temporary purpose. I can use this folder. I can put as many as files here, because if my bot will you can say complex, then I can use this temporary you can say folder for my business calculation or mathematical calculation, or if I want to perform some calculation, I can use this area or this folder for my temporary purpose, right? For input purpose, for business logic, or you can say calculation purpose, I can use this folder, not in the output. Now after performing all this business logic, after performing all this you can say mathematical calculation, if at the end I'll got some data as a output. Now for example, this is my input, this is my input for example, and if I'll perform some logics here, and at the output, if I'll got this final record, so what is this? This is my output. So this output I can store inside this output folder, right? Output folder. Again, this is the demo purpose, so that's what I can use only this specific single file, but here I can store as many as files, Excel files, you can say PDF files, or anything, but this is considered for my output. Simple. So again, configuration, as I said, here I can store the configuration part. Input, if I want to take input, so this folder is for my my bot's input purpose. If I want to perform some calculations, mathematical calculation, any business logic calculation, if I want to perform, I can use this temporary folder. I can use this portion for my temporary calculation purpose, and as I adds this output my, and at the end, if I'll got the output, so this area or this output folder I can use for my output purpose. Simple, right? So here again, so this is my data documentation. As I said, you can go with the documentation where you will find all the details of the RE framework. Exception screenshot. So here you will see if any exception is occurred, you will see these screenshots of the errors. Again, that error would be like technical exception or business exception, right? Now framework. Now if I'll open this framework, right, if I'll open this framework, you will see, as I said, right, now this is my template. No, UiPath provides me the existing template. So if I'll open this process.xml file, see, this logic is already built for me, right? Again, if I'll open this init all setting, so again UiPath provides me all this already written code for me, right? So with help of this code, all this you can say exception handling mechanism is already there, screenshot capturing mechanism is already there, right? You can say looping, if my bot will start until and unless my bot will have if my bot have the records, my bot will not stop. So that logic is also used in this files or in this template. That also we will see one by one in a very detailed way. Okay, first we need to understand the you can say architecture of this RE framework. Understood? So as I said, the basic activities, these folders and their description I have already covered, right? Now again, little bit on this you can say first RE framework's first page, or you can say main page. So here, as I said, this is the state machine, or you can say this is the state. We have 4 states, 1, 2, 3 and 4, and we have, this is the transitions. This is called as the transitions, right? Transitions means what is the transition, that we will also see. Now if see, this is my general. Here also, if I'll open this variable, so here if you see, there are lot of variables is created for me. Again, if I'll click on these arguments, they have created argument as well, right? So there are, you can say, transaction item, system exception, business exception, transaction number, config, retry number. All these variable is also available for me, and these variable are used throughout this RE framework. That also we will go in a very detailed way. Okay. Now first, if you see, now they have mentioned like this is the stanza, or this is a template, right? We can you can modify this template as per my requirement. I can manipulate or I can edit this existing template, and I can manipulate or I can edit this existing template as per my requirement, as per my logic. I can use this, but I can edit this existing template as well, right? So what is the main benefit? If I'll use this existing template, so already the 60% of code is already ready for me. Only the business logic, okay, only the main business logic, which is considered as a 40%, that 40% business logic I need to only write if I'll use the RE framework. Otherwise, what happened if I'll not use the RE framework? The whole, this 60% and this 40%, that means again I'll need to write whole 100% you can say code, or 100% program, if I am not used the RE framework. So RE framework will cover this 60% of the logic. Only this, we need to focus on this 40% business logic basically, because business logic will differ. It's vary for each use case to use case, but this 60% will always be common. Retry mechanism, exception handling, right? Screens capturing, error screen capturing, this will always be there. Every use case have this, you can say, methodology which we need to handle, right? Now here if you see, they have mentioned like the general business process. So if I want to give some name here, so here I'll simply process title. So as for the demo purpose, I simply use demo purpose. Now I can provide this process description, right? So why this is mentioned, why this is required? Now if I'll develop this RE framework, if I'll develop this code, and now if I want to hand over this project to the next team, right? So to the new team, if they read this demo purpose or this description or this whole RE framework, they can easily understand. That's why when we develop the code, my code will be in such a way so everybody can understand that code easily. So process description, again I'll just mention demo purpose only, demo purpose for understanding the RE framework, the RE framework, right? Again, if I want to mention all about the setup, all about, you can say, contact information and other things, then I can put that information here as well. It's up to me how we can handle that RE framework. Now state, what do you mean by this state? If I'll open this state, or you can say if I'll open this state machine, so you will see there are, again they have some you can say logic, or they have mentioned some code here. Again, if you see init all application, but that means again we have some other files is also available here, init all setting. Again, if I'll open this, there are a lot of already written code is available for me, right? If you see kill all process, right, here init all applications, right? So inside this initialization or inside this state machine, there are lot of inbuilt logic is already written, right? If that all logic will executes properly, then and then only my execution will go for the second step. As simple, this is my first phase, or you can say first step. If my first step will execute properly, or my first step will execute in a success way, then and then only my second step will start. It's like step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. It's my step 1, it's my step 2 sorry it's my step 3 sorry, and it's my step 4. State means it's my state, a collection of some code. If this step executes successfully, or if all these XML files or all this workflow will execute successfully, then and then only my cursor, or you can say my execution of RE framework or my execution of my program will proceed further for step 2, right? Again, this is a high level, okay, this is a very high level. Deep level we will see in a very detailed way, but this is very high level, right? If my bot will start, so first this initial, this is called as the initialization state. This state or this state machine is called as the initialization state. If this initialization state, or if all the files which is available in this initialization state will execute successfully, or it will not execute successfully, again if you see there are two chances, or there are two possibilities. If all these files it will execute successfully, that is the first case, or if it will not give the successful result, that means it will have some issues or exception, then this is the second case. If all files will get executed successfully, then my bot will execute, or my bot will start the second stage. But if any exception is occurred inside this initialization, then this state will execute, right? So it depends on these conditions. So these conditions or these lines is called as the transitions. What these lines or what is arrow is called as the transitions, right? So we have 1 2 3 4 5 6 7, right? So in RE framework sometimes question will arise, how many transitions is available in the RE framework and how many states is available in the RE framework. So states or state machines, 4 states or 4 state machines. Transitions 7th, this lines arrow is called as the transition. So 7 transition is available in the RE framework. So it's a standard flow. We can edit this flow as well. I can add uh, many state cases or many state machines here as well as per my requirement. I can add, I can modify this RE framework, I can edit this RE framework as well. But in generic way, in if I have the you can say little bit on middle scale automation, so with help of this RE framework I can easily automate this. In generic I can easily automate with help of this existing RE framework, right? Now again similar way, if now my control is available here, if my control is in this get transaction data, again if all this file will get executed successfully, then this step 3 will execute. If again if this will not execute successfully, again this you can say this will execute. This is very rough or this is very high level. This is like step 1, or you can say step 1, step 2, step 3, and you can say step 4. Now again we will see how this system exception, how this successful transition will execute, how this new transaction will execute, and how this no data will execute, how this system exception and how this business exception and success you can say transition will execute, right? So for this today's session we are good with this. Okay.